Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at Takenoko, a game in which a hungry panda chases around an overworked gardener through fields of bamboo. We're going to be looking at what makes this such a fun game. This is probably one of my favourite games, and it has been for a while. So we're going to be looking at some of the rule sets and how this game is played and how it's set up, and some of the different challenges that are presented when playing against one another, how you win, how you score points. But most of all, really, just what makes this such a fun game. This is the game board. This is in progress. This is taken from the last game that we actually played here and how the board finished up. Now, the way this game works is everything revolves around the central starting tile, the watershed from the Japanese gardens. What happens with this central tile is each player slowly builds the bamboo gardens around this, spreading out and out and out, and you get to choose which tile goes where. And there are certain cards in the game which challenge you to create, for example, patterns with these tiles. This one is 3 pieces of bamboo garden in a row which are all red. Each one of these different gardens grows different coloured bamboo, and your hungry panda, who also gets moved around by players, moves to the bamboo and chomps on it, taking a piece of bamboo away, giving it to your little stockpile in the corner. Now you have other missions as well in this game, denoted on these cards, such as how many pieces of bamboo your hungry panda wants to eat. If you manage to get 2 pieces of green bamboo through moving the panda around the board, you complete this card, you score the points on this card, and you get 3 points. The point of the game is to complete these little challenges. Some of them might be grow a certain amount of bamboo to a certain height, eating a certain amount of bamboo, or creating a certain pattern with these gardens. You have to complete as many of these missions as possible, depending on how many players. If there's 2 people playing, it's the first one to complete 9, and then you total your scores up. Upon completion of all these missions, the Emperor hears of what a good job you've done looking after his favourite little panda, and then he comes and visits your gardens too, giving the person who finishes the game an additional 2 points. Because just because you've finished the game doesn't mean you've necessarily won the game. The way in which you do win is at the end of the game, once everyone has had their final turn, once the Emperor has visited, you then add up the points that every player has collected throughout the game whilst it's being played. Now, different cards that are more difficult have higher values. Just collecting 2 pieces of green bamboo gives you 3 points, but collecting a piece of 3 different coloured pieces of bamboo is obviously more difficult. The panda has to move around the tiles in different ways, it takes more turns to do that, so you get more points. You can win the game by having only completed a handful of cards, but someone else has initiated the finish of the game. Now, every round that gets played has several things that you can do, and this is one of the more simple game systems that you'll come across, which is what makes it really quite easy to pick up. And other than the colours and how vibrant it is and just how pretty it is, what makes it more appealing for younger or newer gamers as well. Throughout every turn, the first thing that happens, other than on the very first round of the game, is a weather dice is rolled. The weather dice, when rolled, gives you a different weather effects. We've got rain. That would allow the person who rolled the dice to choose any plot with bamboo, just to grow some more bamboo. There are other abilities that would come into play, such as giving yourself an extra move, a free move of the panda because of a thunderstorm where he runs off to hide in a bamboo field and eats some of the bamboo, so it's a way to get more bamboo, and just a few other things that just add some spice to the game as well. But the main part of the game goes between you choosing whether to draw another tile in order to expand these gardens and add more colour of bamboo or more features. You can pick up what we have here, which are irrigation channels. Now, no garden can grow unless it's properly irrigated. The first tile that you start with, the watershed, that allows all the tiles placed around it to grow bamboo regardless. But these further out from the Emperor's main garden, they require you to run channels along the sides of all the hexes in order to make sure that they get water before bamboo can sprout and grow. So part of your turn is building a network of these irrigation channels. The next thing you could do if you want would be move the gardener Now, because we're using hexes rather than squares, that limits the movement in which your character, your panda or your gardener can move. They can only move in straight lines. They can't jump over gaps in the tiles if there wasn't a tile here, for example. And that limits and causes a bit more strategy as to where you build as well. If the gardener lands on a square with bamboo in it or potential to grow bamboo, that encourages more, which could help contribute towards the cards in which you're working towards building a certain amount of bamboo. And the panda chomps away and you start to collect bamboo. The other thing that you can do are draw additional mission cards. You can draw one from any one of the 3 piles each turn, collecting more missions for you to complete. Now, because other people don't know what you're trying to do, they might just think you're being a bit of an arse and eating all of the bamboo that they're trying to build. You get an idea of what people are trying to do, and it creates that little bit of unknown rivalry. Am I stopping you building your bamboo garden, or am I inadvertently helping you keep this piece of bamboo down to 3 because you just need one that's 3 high? So there's lots of different ways that you interact on your turn through just 2 simple moves. So the way that you accumulate these points doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win if you get all the cards, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose if you're one of the types of people who likes to plan out their garden and play it quite slow and steady. I tend to be a bit of an agriculturist when we play this, and I tend to build the sprawling gardens and generally just have my game ruined by someone who just doesn't know what they're doing with the panda. The easiest way to really appreciate this game and see this now is to see it in action, so we're going to do a playthrough.